Roulette. It is September 10th, my mother's 77th birthday. And she should be proud because when I saw that Stephanie brought apple fritters, I wrapped one up in a napkin and put it in my purse, just like Mom does. Just like Mom does, I tell you. I am truly her daughter. So, let's see if I can say this. I've been getting my tongue twisted, always saying today's theme is old school soul food. God, that's hard. That is really hard.
3 times fast.
I will not. Hopefully this is the last time I'm ever going to say it. But starting us off is actually our newest rouletter. I'm so excited that he somehow found out about us. He's going to slice up a delicious tale about his summer as a caterer. Please welcome William Hill.
Oh, so I'm the winner, just to set the setting. It's a winner as catering. It's a short story I wrote called Resolutions. I used to cook with this Army vet, Chuck, for a catering company next to a Hardee's and a Wings Olay in the basement of a West Virginia bowling alley. Chuck's favorite things were his hatred for his job, preparing the chicken marsala with white grape juice so he could drink the recipe's white wine, and spiking my sodas with wild turkey. He had a solid decade before retirement with a houseboat on his mind. He told me once his plan, if he couldn't make it to 10 years, was to cut off a finger peeling cucumbers and collect disability. Paring knives were the sharpest in the kitchen, he added. When Chuck found out I was a college student working the holidays between semesters, he kept me on dishes my entire first shift. The university was 15 minutes over the ridge in the Upper Valley and 45 minutes from Chuck's trailer over in an old coal town. "What you going for?" he'd ask me every day. Every time I told him I was thinking about majoring in geology, he'd say, "Like I said, what you going for?" and laugh. The caterings were split between preparing and delivering meals to the Pharmacological Research Center just up the hill, a facility for paid months-long drug studies, and cooking high-end dinners for the holiday parties held in our banquet halls that ran the length of the bowling alley beneath its lanes. A shift started at 5 in the morning, cooking breakfast, organizing snack runs, and prepping lunches for the patients who agreed for thousands of dollars to allow scientists to research prescription medication on them. Chuck told me he'd seen a guy do 6 studies in 1 year once. He said the guy got all skinny, frail looking, desperate like a dog that ain't got water, but probably made 20 or 30 grand from the studies. After we delivered the patients' lunches and finished up the morning's dishes, we'd get a 1-hour break. Chuck usually spent his breaks over at Olay, flirting with one of their new cooks. Preparation for the evening banquet started after break, searing off steaks, blanching clams, braising short ribs, cutting garnishes, and deveining shrimp. Shifts ended after we'd scrubbed the pans for the next morning. Chuck used to sit with a bottle of turkey and watch me scrub, telling me he'd worked enough kitchens in his life, he'd earned himself a drink after work rather than dish duty. Ain't it something we made the damn food, and here we are hunched over the scraps, he'd say. We were picking up supplies from the Kroger in the van one day, just after delivering the lunches, and Chuck asked me if I knew he lived off the Sawicki coal seam. I told him no, but knew of the area. We learned about it some at school. Out in Old Scott's Run, I asked him. He said the Sawicki used to be the only geology anybody needed to know around here. His old man and his old man had disappeared down in the mines. That's why Chuck joined the Army after high school. Even one of his battles above ground, he said. He made it through boot camp, but discipline and a bad knee he'd got from working on cars as a kid kept him on cafeteria details. He did his service keeping the troops fed, turned all that kitchen experience into a job at one of the expensive hotels in town after he'd served, Chuck told me. I told him I was just starting at the college, and remembered they told us a quarter of the U.S.'s coal came from Appalachia, and the majority of Appalachian coal came from here, which mined the second largest in the United States. Chuck figured that was about the most obnoxious way he'd ever heard it explained. All that's ever meant, he said, was our mountains got a whole hell of a lot of something a lot of people want. You think that's how they'll remember us? Because people got a lot of something that people want, he asked. There were 2 Krogers in town. Chuck always preferred the further away of the 2. He trusted their butcher, plus a 1-hour break ain't shit to a 14-hour shift. The loading docks were behind the grocery store with access to the meat department through a back door. Chuck told me he'd been buying his cuts from Marion since Camaros had T-tops. Marion, you old son of a bitch, which one of these is best for cutting off a finger? Chuck would shout, picking up different cleavers off Marion's chopping blocks. The further away Kroger sat up on a hill. We loaded up the van with groceries and supplies for the banquets and could see down over the Monongalia River all the way past town to the other side. The mountains across the river looked worn down and the ridgelines buried. Chuck would point out all the cuts in the riverbank, saying where the fish would probably be biting. Tell me chicken liver bait worked best back when he started fishing. You've heard that John Denver song he'd ask after supply runs? You know he wasn't even flying over here when he wrote that, Chuck would say. He'd had it wrong all those years, and by the time he was old, he probably thought whatever he'd been singing about was just in his imagination, Chuck told me one time. Chuck bet the plane was over North Carolina, or other times would wager Virginia. Most banquets we cooked were holiday parties for university alumni, wealthy hospital donators, or politicians. They were open bars, so the girls working the tables in the hall would still chuck free bourbons. You know the best part of this gig, besides the guaranteed work because then drug studies go year round? It's drinking those people's hooch off their dime, Chuck would tell me. It's my favorite time of the year, he said. Before heading out one night, a couple girls came back in the kitchen with Chuck's drinks and a brand new military-grade compass from the Army-Navy store. They said it was the last holiday they'd be working, since they'd be graduating soon, so they wanted to get him something for his houseboat. After they'd left, we'd stayed to brine some meat before morning, and Chuck told me it all checked out, his finger. If amputation results in difficulty performing one's job duties, then disability benefits can be applied for. I read it in our papers, Chuck said. Chuck already owned the boat. He paid off his trailer after working the hotels and made payments on the houseboat until he could park it in his carport. He didn't have any way of getting it down the riverbank yet, but figured if the mountains kept shrinking, the water would come to him, he'd say. Chuck imagined when he got it floating, he'd motor it until he forgot what his echo sounded like and let the river take him the rest of the way. From Christmas through New Year, there was a banquet every weekend. We stayed late some nights, doubling our prep work, so we wouldn't have to cut and sear so much in the morning. During the last party I worked, Chuck had a bag of chicken livers with him he bought. He grabbed the bag from the cooler in his truck and brought them in the kitchen. They'd be no good if I left them, he said. Before washing the potatoes, he fished his compass out from his pocket, checked its direction, and went on peeling for the next morning shift. Thank you, guys.